Let's start with the granddaddy of them all, the choke so legendary it became a meme, a cultural phenomenon, and basically a second language in New England. February 5th, 2017, Super Bowl 51, the Atlanta Falcons versus the New England Patriots. And for 3 quarters, the Falcons were destroying them. I'm talking 28-3 in the third quarter. Lady Gaga had just finished her halftime show. Tom Brady looked like he was contemplating retirement. The Falcons' MVP quarterback Matt Ryan was about to cement his legacy, and then the football god said, "Not today, Atlanta, not today." What happened next was the sports equivalent of watching someone drop their phone in slow motion while screaming, "No!" The Patriots scored 25 unanswered points. 25. The Falcons' offense, which had been unstoppable, suddenly forgot how to play football. Kyle Shanahan, yes, that Kyle Shanahan, called pass plays when they should have been running the clock. They took a sack that pushed them out of field goal range. A holding penalty killed another drive. And the defense? They ran 93 plays and were so gassed by the end, they might as well have been playing in scuba gear. The Patriots tied it 28-28, forced overtime and won 34-28. It was the largest comeback in Super Bowl history, the first Super Bowl overtime ever, and Atlanta? They became the answer to, what's the worst thing that can happen to a football team? 28-3 isn't just a score anymore. It's a legacy. But wait, you thought one catastrophic collapse was bad? How about we talk about a team that perfected the art of choking so thoroughly? They did it 4 times in a row. Enter the Buffalo Bills of the early 90s. From 1991 to 1994, the Bills made 4 consecutive Super Bowls. That's incredible. That's dynasty material. Oh wait, they lost all 4 of them. All 4. It's like showing up to 4 straight job interviews, absolutely crushing the resume, nailing the presentation, and then somehow projectile vomiting on the interviewer every single time. Super Bowl 25 against the Giants? Lost 20-19 when Scott Norwood missed a 47-yard field goal. Wide right became Buffalo's version of Voldemort. We don't say that name. Super Bowl 26 against the Redskins? Lost 37-24 after Jim Kelly threw 4 interceptions. Super Bowl 27 against the Cowboys? An absolute massacre. 52-17. The Bills committed 9 turnovers. 9! That's a Super Bowl record that'll probably stand forever because I don't think it's physically possible to turn the ball over more than that without actively trying. And Super Bowl 28? Another Cowboys beating 30-13. The Bills had Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Hall of Famers. They dominated the AFC, and they walked away with exactly 0 rings and enough trauma to fuel 1,000 therapy sessions. To this day, 0-4 in Super Bowls is the saddest stat in sports history. Now, before we move on, let's talk about a team that had everything, and I mean everything, going their way. Until one kick changed history forever. The 1998 Minnesota Vikings were supposed to be unstoppable. They went 15-1 in the regular season. They scored an NFL record 556 points. They had Randall Cunningham throwing to rookie Randy Moss and Chris Carter, 2 Hall of Famers, and their kicker, Gary Anderson, the man who did the impossible. He went 35 for 35 on field goals during the regular season. Every single kick. He was perfect. Fast forward to the NFC Championship game against the Atlanta Falcons. The Vikings are up 27-20 with just over 2 minutes left. Anderson lines up for a 38-yarder, basically a chip shot. Make this, and Minnesota's going to the Super Bowl. It's over. Start planning the parade. Except Anderson missed. For the first time all season, he shanked it left. The Metrodome went silent. The Falcons tied it on the next drive, won in overtime. And the Vikings' dream season ended in the most gut-wrenching way possible. Anderson had been perfect for 122 consecutive kicks. And the one that mattered most? Gone. The football gods can be cruel, folks. But you know what's even more brutal than one perfect kicker missing? How about an entire team forgetting how to play football in the final quarter? Let me introduce you to the 2002 New York Giants. Wild card round against the 49ers. The Giants were dominating, 38-14 in the third quarter. Jeff Garcia and the Niners looked dead in the water. And then the Giants decided, hey, you know what would be fun? Let's just stop playing defense entirely. The 49ers scored 25 unanswered points. 25. Terrell Owens went off for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Giants had multiple chances to seal it, but choked harder than someone trying the Cinnamon Challenge. Final score, 39-38, 49ers. The Giants blew a 24-point lead, and the game ended in controversy when long snapper Trey Junkin, signed just days earlier, botched the snap on a potential game-winning field goal attempt. It was such a disaster that it's still referenced as one of the most stunning collapses in playoff history. The Giants didn't just lose, they disintegrated. Speaking of disintegrating, let's jet over to Kansas City, where the Chiefs have built an impressive resume of playoff heartbreak. The 2013 wildcard game, Chiefs versus Colts. Kansas City's up 38-10 in the third quarter, 38-10. Andrew Luck and the Colts looked cooked, done, finished. And then the Chiefs' offense just vanished. They scored 3 points in the second half. The Colts scored 35 unanswered and won 45-44. It was the second largest comeback in playoff history. The Chiefs were 10.5-point favorites and got embarrassed in their own building. Fast forward to 2022, AFC Championship. Chiefs are up 21-3 on the Bengals at halftime. Mahomes is Mahomesing. And then, surprise, they scored only 3 points in the entire second half. And overtime. The Bengals came back to win 27-24 in overtime. The Chiefs tied the 2006 Patriots for blowing an 18-point lead in a conference championship. A record nobody wants. 2 different eras, 2 different rosters, same devastating result. Now let's rewind to 1993 for what might be the most iconic comeback in NFL history, which also means it's one of the most brutal chokes. The Houston Oilers led the Buffalo Bills 35-3 in the third quarter of the wildcard round. 35-3. The Bills' starting quarterback Jim Kelly was injured. Backup Frank Reich came in. And somehow the Bills scored 35 unanswered points to tie it, then won in overtime. It's called the comeback, for a reason. The Oilers never recovered. They literally never won another playoff game before moving to Tennessee. That's how devastating this choke was. The franchise couldn't survive it. When your choke is so catastrophic that it follows you to another state and a new team name, that's next-level trauma. But you know what really stings? Choking on the absolute biggest stage with a play that lives in infamy forever. Cleveland Browns 1987 AFC Championship. Down 38-31 late in the fourth quarter against Denver, running back Ernest Biner broke through and was this close to scoring the game-tying touchdown. Goal line in sight, Super Bowl dreams alive. And then Broncos cornerback Jeremiah Castile stripped the ball at the 3-yard line. Fumble. Game over. Browns lose. The fumble became Cleveland's defining sports tragedy, at least until the drive the year before and about 17 other heartbreaks after. Biner was a great player, but this moment haunted him forever. 1 play, 1 fumble, championship gone. And let's not forget the more recent heartbreaks that prove choking never goes out of style. Blair Walsh, 2016 wildcard. Vikings hosting the Seahawks in sub-zero temperatures. Walsh lines up for a 27-yard field goal, basically an extra point for an NFL kicker. Make it, and Minnesota likely wins. He hooked it wide left so badly, it looked like he was aiming for the Vikings bench. The hold had the laces in, sure, but this was 27 yards. The Vikings lost 10-9, and Walsh never recovered. He was cut the next season and out of football entirely by 2017. 1 kick ended his career. Then there's Tony Romo's infamous botched snap in the 2007 wildcard. The Cowboys just needed a field goal to beat the Seahawks. Romo, acting as the holder, dropped the snap. He tried to run it in. He failed. Career-defining moment of choking for a guy who already had that reputation. Brutal. Here's the thing about these chokes. They're not just losses. They're scars. The Falcons still get 28-3 chanted at them. Bills fans carry 4 straight Super Bowl losses like generational trauma. Vikings fans have made wide left a permanent part of their vocabulary. These moments don't fade. They stick, they haunt, they define legacies. And that's what makes championship choke so uniquely devastating in sports.